What is the simple secret to being a successful coach? I'm going to tell you, but you might want to know who I am if you're going to listen to me say that. My name is John Patrick Morgan. I have been coaching professionally for about 15 years now. I've made millions of dollars in this business, not through having a great marketing team or marketing funnel or any of that stuff, literally just in trade for the conversations that I've had with people. I talk to people and their lives get better. And in exchange for that, they pay me money. I've worked with hundreds and hundreds of people, been paid tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars by individuals, and that's totaled up for the revenue that I've created in my life that has given me a beautiful life as well. I'm in deep gratitude when I look out at our small farm here in Maui that we bought a few years ago, my wife and I and my two sons. I pinch myself at the thought that all of this that I own, this home, this paradise, this lifestyle, was literally purchased with the generous gift of income and money from people that they've given me in exchange for the conversation that I had with them and what that conversation did for them in their life. So I'm very grateful for the life that I have as a reciprocation, a return for the life that I have given people. Now, obviously, people create their lives on their own, but when I come into their life and I have a conversation with them that cuts straight to the heart of the matter of what is inside them that's stopping them from creating what they want, then they go free from an expression of love to create that in their life. They remember and they know that that conversation was instrumental. Without that conversation, this might not have ever happened. That is really the essence of what coaching is about, why people pay you money as a coach, right? They pay you money as a coach because they're able to have and experience something in their life that they would not have had without the conversation that you have with them. And so, if you want to be a very successful coach, you want to be able to have a conversation with a person that literally unlocks a possibility for them that they can be in action with, that they can actually generate and create the life that they want, whatever it is, whether it's they want to create, like in my closet over there, I've got a box of letters and cards from clients all around the world from over a decade. And these letters in them thank me for all the different things they've created. Sometimes it's a better relationship with their spouse, a healed marriage, or a relationship with their kids, estranged and family members that have come back together. I mean, you can't put a price on that. And sometimes it's financial stuff, the wealth that they've created, the dream home that they were able to buy when they went from struggling and making no money to being in seven figures. Sometimes it's the vitality and the health that they've created through having a different attitude about themselves and the world and their body. Sometimes it's just the shift in their relationship to themselves. One of the best things that a client ever said to me is through all the things we've created, the dream home, the marriage, and all these things, and the family, more than anything, what I value is that I've become a friend to myself. So sometimes the biggest win in coaching is helping a client to become a friend of themselves, to have a relationship with themselves on the inside that makes their life easier, more fulfilling, and more free. So those are some of the things that I've helped people to create as a coach, but different coaches help people do different things. So whatever it is that they want in their lives, you helping them to create that through the conversations that you have, that's the essence of coaching. And people are paying you for the change in their life. So if you want to be a very successful coach, then you need to be able to help people to have a substantial and significant change in their life. The faster you can do that, and the more clearly you can do that, the more power you have as a coach, and then the more success you're going to have in the sense of financial success. The more people are going to hire you more often, they're going to pay you more money, okay? So then the question becomes, what's the simplest way to become really freaking good at helping people to create these beautiful things in their life? What's the simple secret to that, right? What's the simple secret to the simple secret? In my world, the simple secret for me in being really freaking effective at helping people to create everything they want in their life is by making a real commitment and taking action on that commitment to create everything I want in my life. Because I've never been to coaching school. I have no coaching accreditations, no coaching credentials. I haven't been to the Life Coach Academy. Never. So why am I able to coach people to help them in this way? It's because everything that I do in coaching is an expression of, well, this is what worked for me. And I don't mean materially. Like I may have clients that run a medium-sized company that have a team with hundreds of employees, And I've never had a team of more than 10 in my business. So how am I supposed to say this comes from my experience? Because it's not about that context of the external world that I am helping people with. There may be business coaches, and the coaching they do is about the externalities, is about what it is to lead 100 people on the outside, the logistics of that, how SOPs work and standard operating procedures in a corporation, things like that might be the coaching that they do. And if that is the coaching they do, then I would say the same thing applies, that they're going to be the best at that when they've done that and experienced it in a way where they've got mastery and expertise in it that they can coach from. So when I'm coaching a leader of a big company, for example, when I'm coaching somebody who's doing something and creating something that I've never done before, on the outside, it doesn't matter because I coach them on the inside. I coach the way they think about themselves, the way they think about the world, how they relate to themselves. When I help a person be free and more empowered, whatever they are doing, they're going to be better at it. So I could help somebody raise money. I could help somebody improve their marriage. You know, I work with people from all sexual orientations, even though I'm heterosexual, heteronormative, that's the word that I was looking for, man. So it doesn't matter the context of your life. I can help you because I work with you at the level of being human. And so it still comes from experience though, right? Just because I'm helping a person to create through who they're being doesn't mean that I can do that because I took a class about being or I learned the right questions to ask. And I'm not trying to knock like coaching schools. I've never been to them, so I wouldn't say anything against them. I'm just saying that in my world, my success comes from my experience. And so everything that I do with everybody is an expression of something that worked for me. So if somebody says, oh, I'm having this fear, what do I do? It's like, every time somebody asks me anything, I'm always asking myself, well, what have I done when I've been in that situation? How have I dealt with that? How have I met that? So all of my coaching is sourced from my own experience. And so then if I want to be a very successful coach that can help lots of people create in lots of different ways, lots of different things, then I need to have a really deep and varied experience of creating my own self. And so for me, being on a journey of personal growth and personal development, that is the best school for coaching if you want to create success as a coach. So I do want to say though, that there's different ways of being on that journey, right? So I am not on the journey of healing and fixing. I don't mean that that's not a thing and that's not real and that's not important. It absolutely is. And when I came into the coaching industry, it felt like I came in the side door because a lot of the people that I met, I don't know if the side door is the right metaphor, but I said it felt like I was coming in from the side, let's just say from the side instead of from the bottom. And what I meant by that is one of the things I used to say to myself all the time when I started coaching. Before I even knew what coaching was, it was just a thing that I always said. And at the time, I believed it was a description. I would say to myself, man, I'm like the happiest guy I know. I love my life. I love everything that I do. I love my work. I'm grateful for the money that I make. At the time, I was like, 29 years old, living in London. Had a web development company. I was doing performance magic. I was dating wonderful women. And I was loving every moment of my life, traveling the world. I'm originally from the US, but I was living in London at the time. And I just would say I am the happiest guy I know. And then I discovered this beautiful world of coaching. I actually discovered it through magic as a performance magician, learning about the psychology of the mind. Then I stumbled into this world of coaching and I was like, wow, I already love helping people. I did it informally, but I could formalize this and turn it into a business. That's exciting. I want to do that. I love helping people to live a life to be as happy as I am, really, through making choices that give them the circumstances and the internal experience that brings joy. So I started doing that. And what was the point I was just trying to make? Yes, coming in sideways. When I came into the coaching industry, I noticed that a lot of people that were learning how to coach and wanting to start the coaching business or just starting the coaching business had been in personal development for a long time and had gone on a long journey of healing and growth and working through things. And that's beautiful. I love that people are doing that work for that reason, but I didn't come in with the concept that I'm broken or that I need to fix something. I just came in with like, wow, it would be fun to help people to have more of this joy and this love and this way of living. A person at the time that invited me to give a talk called it A Passionate Life. He said, hey, could you do a talk on how to find your passion? You just seem to live such a passionate life. So I was like, sure. And that's what kicked off this career essentially. And so when I say from the side, I'm pointing out to the fact that a lot of people are in coaching because they did come to personal development, because they did feel broken. There is something they wanted to heal. Of course, you can create a successful business out there. There are many very successful and very highly paid healers. I can't speak to that because it's not my orientation. What I can speak to is the orientation of creating something greater, something more beautiful than what you already have. And it just so happens that the people I normally end up working with are those that typically in midlife, things are cool, they're already achievers, they like taking action, but they have a sense that something greater is possible. Maybe they're heading to the second act of their life and they're like, you know what, this is just, life hasn't worked out to be as vibrant as I thought it could be. And they're not necessarily at the end, but they're seeing the horizon of life. And they're like, shit, if I don't do something now, then I may live the rest of my life never really finding out what's possible. And so I'm an instigator of great possibility for people in their life. And I can be that because I source from my own knowing about what's possible. In fact, I'm happy to take clients to the edge of financial disaster if there's something that they would really love where that becomes a risk, because I know, having gone through financial disaster myself more than once, I know that it's worth it. I know that I have no regrets about taking every step that I've ever taken towards the things that are my most called to, that are most fulfilling, most true for me, and highest service of the good I see in the world, for my family, for the people I care about, right? And so let's keep it really, really simple. That great coaching comes from creating greatness in you and in your own life. And then here's the important thing, knowing how you did that. Let's hear that for a second. Creating greatness for you, in you and in your own life, and knowing how you did that. All right? That's different than creating a good life. That's different than creating greatness in your life. That's different than creating greatness in you. It's greatness in you and your life, and knowing how you did that. What do I mean by that? That's really important, because you could do stuff because somebody told you to do it, and you could get an outcome and not really, and have a different life, but not really know how you did it on the inside, not really have tracked and been very aware of the process that took you from A to B. And so knowing how you did it is important, not just so that you can repeat it again and then learn even more things and grow even more, but knowing how you did it means that you can help other people to do it as well. And so one of the ways that I know how I did things is to put myself in a situation with a person who has a predicament in creating something they'd love to create, and ask myself, well, what have I done when I have been in that situation? And I'm always presupposing that I have been in a particular situation that a person is facing. Because if I presuppose that I have faced this before, then the infinite creative mind will actually help me to find where that's true within my past, in my memory, and it will point me towards the resource of my knowing about how I met that. And then I'll be able to speak to that person from a place of true groundedness, from a foundation of knowing and authenticity. That opens up the possibility for trust and connection. And it also gives that person the opportunity and the ability to have their own certainty in this as a path for them. Because of my certainty, because our being certain bleeds from us into other people around us. So the more certain I am for myself and what I'm speaking, the more certainty is going to be available to the person that I'm serving, the client. And so if I want to produce certainty for that reason, the best way to produce it is to have what I'm speaking come from a knowing that comes from my experience. And so at the end of the day, what I'm really saying is the simple secret to being a very successful coach is to work really hard at making every aspect of your life awesome. And it's kind of like having both a really high opinion of yourself and a really deep humility at the same time, like a grandiose humility. As far as an opinion both in how you are and who you are now, and also in the sense of like what your goals are for who you can be. So I hold myself in high regard. And I hope that I also do so humbly, right? There's a threading the needle on that. How you integrate those, how you balance those is key. Because nobody wants an arrogant coach, but also nobody wants a coach who doesn't think very highly of themselves. So what do? Well, you need to think both highly and humbly of yourself, both as a way of being that produces a sense of possibility for your clients. Because here's the fact, the reality, that great coaching is largely about projection and emulation. That you, in the dynamic of a coaching relationship, hold the position of possibility in who you be and how you show up and how you meet the world. Your greatness raises the bar. You know who Roger Bannister is? The first guy or first person to break the 4-minute mile. And then suddenly after that, a bunch of people did it. I think about my role as a coach as being the Roger Bannister for people in how I love myself and how I love my wife and my kids and how I meet fear in my body. I had a man once that came here. This is actually an interesting point. I do some work trade sometimes here on the farm for clients. They come and stay. They do I call it the Mr. Miyagi experience. I give them work to do. We have deep conversations. They stay in our guest house. So he came from halfway around the world. He was a coach, and he came here to spend 3 weeks with me. And at the end of the time, he said, I got to tell you something. The real reason I came here was just to find out if this is for real. If you're for real, are you really like a nice guy, a good guy? Do you really have this life that you share about online? Do you really have this relationship with your wife and family? Is this really what it's like? And so that was actually, I don't know if that visit for him was more impactful for him or for me, because I've thought about that so many times, because what that did is it had me be very, very certain that this is the key to at least my success, and the one I'm offering you here today, is to create authentic greatness in yourself and your life as the path to being a very successful coach. Now, I'm not trying to stay here and say like, oh, I don't have challenges and issues. Of course that I do. Of course that I do. And in fact, my being open about those with my clients all the time is a part of what creates the trusting dynamic that I can still also help them greatness. Everything has a light and a dark side to it. But it's how do we meet that? And how can we alchemize that darkness into light? And what more beauty can we create? And so I brought up this gentleman actually, first, not to share that story, but to make the point of another thing that came to fruition in the conversations when he was here, which was his assumption that I don't have fears. Like I don't have fear of financial things, or I don't have fear about my relationship. And I was like, no, man, of course I do. Of course I feel fear. It's human. Millions of years have evolved for animals to feel fear. Thank God for that. It's very useful, and I have it, and I don't want to lose that. The difference is like you fear being afraid, and I'm happy to be afraid. I'm happy to be afraid. And so when I'm talking about being great as an expression of possibility, and that the coaching relationship, the highest value of a coaching relationship is the projection that occurs in that relationship and the transmission of a way of being and the expression of possibility. What I mean is, for example, is like, if I can be happy to be afraid, and I can be with another human being who's also afraid, who's not happy to be afraid, then the thing that I have the most value for them is not like my ideas about what they can do to overcome that fear, which may be useful. It's not even like the deep practices that I can give them to meet that when they're on their own. The highest value I have is to be with them in that moment of their fear, and me being happy to be afraid. Because then they can learn how to be happy to be afraid. They can learn to let go. So I'm not saying the highest value is the happiness to be afraid. I'm saying my highest value is who I'm able to be with myself in my own life, that shows up when I'm present with a client or a potential client or whoever, or any human being actually outside of the profession. I live as a force of being a champion and a coach in the world. And I also have a professional context in which I do it in exchange for money. So the simple secret to being a really successful, a very successful coach is to become really, really great, to become a great person. It's hard to say that, to look you in the LED eye here in my camera without feeling like I'm just, to be really great just like me, like pat myself on the back. But I hope you can hear the truth in this, right? Is to have an opinion of yourself that is mighty and humble at the same time, to have a goal to be even greater, to not be hung up and attached on that, but to have that, to always be on the ascent, right? And to know how you did that, so that you can, when another person wants to be greater in some way or have more in their life, you can be like, well, here's how I met that, when I came across that thing within me, because we're talking about the human experience. We're talking about what it is to be in a body with a psychology, in a spiritual body, in the matrix of this reality. And when you learn to navigate that effectively, you can help other people effectively too. So the more you create for yourself, the more you're able to grow yourself, the more effectively you grow yourself, the faster you grow yourself, the more power you have as a coach. This is in my world, okay? The way that I do coaching, I source from me. And so if I want to get paid more for the work that I do and I want more clients, then it's time for product development. How do I need to grow? What needs to grow in me? What needs to become more powerful, more loving, more free, more kind, more beautiful? Not because I'm not worthy unless I become that, but as a tool for higher efficacy in bringing more of that out in others and in the world. My mission is a more free, loving, and powerful human being, because a free, loving, and powerful human being creates a more beautiful life. And a more beautiful life in not just one person, but in more people creates a more beautiful world. That's the mission I'm on. That's the vision, a more beautiful world. And if you want to be a part of that, I invite you to join me. If you're a coach and you want to become more successful, then I implore you to learn how to be even greater than you are, how to have everything that you desire for your life and in your life, how to become all that you can be. I am one of many people who can show you how to do that. If you have interest in learning how to do that with me, reach out, drop a comment, say hello. I'd love to talk to you. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.